that the city would be competing against that's already out in the market and in our community. And so those would be some of the things that might need to be considered. And I was unclear with the 20 acres for option 2, exactly which 20 acres. Is it the top half or is it along the creek? Or?
They've been laid out in the report by the ad hoc committee, which is public information. You can find it online.
Okay, so do we have a picture of the 20 acres right now so that we can see where the 20 acres is?
No.
Okay, can you describe it just visually for me then so I can understand it, please?
It's available online, Diana.
Okay, do you have the internet access available here so that I can look at it as part of my understanding if my next question is relevant or not?
Mr. Nephew?
Just a brief comment. There were a couple of things mentioned in the staff report. One is that the very specific acreage, I believe, has not yet been identified because that itself takes additional evaluation on the ground. And so part of, with some of these questions, they presuppose moving forward. If we move forward with option 1, for example, it doesn't definitely mean that we're doing this. It means that we're going to expend the resources to do more things, right, such as you suggest.
And I do understand.
Likewise with option 2. I think in answer to your questions in very rough outlines, what I recall from seeing on the map is a portion that would be extending the creek corridor to 300 feet wide. So there would be a small portion north of the creek, a small portion south of the creek running along it. And then the other sensitive area that was identified was in the southwest corner of the southern lot, which is where you have the bluff with the very steep embankment. And so the focus of that, which I believe was in the LCCMR grant application, was to identify the creek area most susceptible to erosion and runoff issues, and then also the bluff land, again, being most susceptible and most environmentally sensitive. So if that's all we can get, those are the things that we, in general terms, would like to prioritize.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. That helps me to understand because I understand very clearly what option 1 is. I mean, that's very simple to see that on the map. Option 2 then basically is the non-buildable, environmentally sensitive areas.
It is not non-buildable, if you wish to characterize it that way, but just because something's within 300 feet of a creek does not make it buildable or not buildable.
Some areas, for instance, in the creek buffer would definitely be buildable, but it would give us that target of being 150 feet on each side of the creek, which we've desired.
I see.
300 on each side.
Is it 300 on each side? I'm sorry, 300 on each side.
That would be what we'd be looking at purchasing. Additions to the 100 foot that we already have.
Okay, so...
Or that Ramsey County has.
Right. Well, yeah, because we might be looking at buying property from Ramsey County.
Correct.
We're just looking at buying it out of receivership. Okay. And so I just wanted to understand that because I know that Mr. Anton indicated that it's important to keep our cards closed, but however, this is an open meeting, so if anybody was watching, they know that there's some strategy here that if we're going to try to go for the whole kit and caboodle and find partners, I think that's a great idea. Having partners, great, that's a wonderful idea. Which then brings me to a different question, is that I was wondering how the conversations with the Nature Conservancy went. I mean, were they approached?
What is the Nature Conservancy?
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because in January I was at a political event which was honoring Representative Obey of Wisconsin, and I ran into a representative there and was talking to her about this property. And she indicated that their organization would be very interested in buying the property perhaps for 25 cents on the dollar. And she said, who in Maplewood can I talk to specifically? And I gave her Mr. All's name. I've also passed that time a few months ago, mentioned it to Mr. Anton. I know I also passed the information on to also a citizen who's been very involved with this. So I was just wondering, did that lead to a dead end? Because she had indicated to me in January, I mean, if you're looking for partners and truly looking for partners, this is somebody, an organization who indicated to me that they would be interested 25 cents on the dollar. And they might be interested in the whole kit and caboodle. So I just want to know, did they go to a dead end or not?
Apparently so.
Okay, so nobody knows whether or not they've talked with them?
Diana, you have some comments that have to do with the two items that we're trying to decide.
Right.
We
And
are
so
not delving into the issue of what potential partners we could have. We're trying to decide whether or not we want to proceed on possibly 1A or option 2. Do you have any comments that actually have to do with that?
I do, because I'm thinking that if you knew that there had been discussions with various partners, you would be able to decide if option 1
We
would
have
be the
had
best.
discussions with multiple potential partners.
Okay, and then I will do a data practices at a later date to ask what indeed those partners are.
Or you
But that'll
could
be
just
that
watch
different
on
one.
any of the streaming shows that we have for every single meeting about this that's been on, which I know you do anyway.
I watched them and I haven't heard any
So you're just leaving
discussion
us
of
on a
partners.
wild goose chase.
I am not,
And so
Mr.
if you cannot ask a